Friday night here in Philadelphia, but you can believe that the Oilers are intent in making sure that the final result is not the same. Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Mees, back in our Stanley Cup studios here in the Spectrum. You know, teams like the Islanders, Montreal, the Oilers, and Philadelphia remain at or near the top of the National Hockey League year after year. How do they do it? Well, they do it with scouting and having good players year after year. When the talk is about famous Philadelphia Flyers, some familiar faces come to mind. Stanley Cup winners in 1974 and 1975, this team had guts, determination, and front Flyer name. And it's rubbed off on a new Flyer generation. Winning is contagious.
Here comes Pocket in front, back, score! Deflected by Craven. Tied up by Craven. Stealing it and centering it. Zezel shot. They get and centering it. Here's Zezel shot. They score!
During the early 70s, the Flyers developed a personality and a winning attitude, and the organization has tried to continue that personality. And the players that join our team know the personality of our hockey club and know what's expected of them, and I think that's very important to a team.
You know when you play on the Flyers that you have to be a hard worker, and you have to, it's a winning tradition here, and I think with the Flyers you're expected to win.
But the tradition will always be there, the hard work ethic, the bump and grind, and not quitting on no matter what the situation is, and that's Flyers tradition.
The Flyer tradition is stacked with success. 20 years in the National Hockey League, the last 15 of them with a winning record.
It comes from the ownership. You know, the Snyders have philosophies, and tradition is a big thing with the Philadelphia Flyers. And, you know, when they drafted a Brian Propp, he was there to replace Billy Barber, or eventually be a consistent 40-goal scorer. When we drafted Ronnie Sutter, he was to replace Bobby Clark, and of course Rick Tocchet was Paul Holmgren's replacement. We traded Paul Holmgren knowing that Rick Tocchet would be a good National League player.
Just being around them, they don't really have to say much in the presence there, you know. You look on their fingers, they got a couple of rings there, and it's glistening, and you look at it, you know, Stanley Cup, and, you know, they tell you when they won and the few old stories, and it really helps you out.
We want them to know that players before them established something, and it's up to them to continue it, and it's up to them to pass it on to the next generation of players. It's very important to us that they do this.
They're always there. They're always saying positive things to you, and if they see something small that, you know, might help out, you know, they're not going to hide it. You know, they're going to come up to you and tell you.
You know, I've learned a lot from the face-offs, and I've learned a lot from little plays in our end, in the defensive zone end, and the offensive zone end from Bobby Clark. And I've learned some things from Billy Barber, and they lend a helping hand when it's necessary.
The new blood on the Philadelphia Flyers has picked up where the old champions left off. Winning in Philadelphia, you see, goes a long way, both on the ice and off it.
I think there's about 14 players living in the Philadelphia area off the Stanley Cup team. When you have older players living in the area, it sets an example that what can be offered to them if you're successful.
It helps with the older players around because you realize that if you do perform well, that the city will really help you out when you're done your career.
The Philadelphia Flyers, one of the most successful organizations in the National Hockey League, in the finals again. Scouting, drafting, pride, and desire. The Flyers, the Oilers, the Canadiens, the Islanders, all the top organizations in the National Hockey League have it. That's why they're at or near the top year after year. I'll be back to look at the key stats from the first period in a moment. Tonight at the Spectrum, the visiting Edmonton Oilers have that big leg up of taking once again a commanding position in the finals. They lead the Flyers 2-0 after one. Let's take a look at some of the key numbers. The only dead even stat is the shots on goal, 8-8. But how many of those shots were quality shots? The Oilers had twice the number that Philadelphia did, 6-3, and they've scored on 2 of them. The face-off again, Edmonton, as they did in the first game of the series, dominating so far the face-off circle. The offsides are about even. Edmonton is actually out-hitting, by our count, the Philadelphia Flyers, and anytime you do that in the Spectrum, that's a big advantage for you. And look at the turnovers. Basically, the Flyers are not doing what they have to do. They're not clogging up the Edmonton rush at center ice. while the Flyers themselves have had very few length of the ice rushes where they set up in the Edmonton zone, and their power play really has not been any factor from a positive point in this game. We'll take a look at some of the Edmonton Oilers highlights from that first period of play with the Bud Light scoreboard in a moment. Clement mentioned deja vu in the first period from Game 3 as we welcome you to the Bud Light scoreboard from the Spectrum. I'm Tom Mees. There was a lot of deja vu. Edmonton got on the board early in the game. They also got on the board late in the first period, and they also had a shorthanded goal. Let's take a look at the two Edmonton goals. We'll begin with the one rather early in the contest in the first 6 minutes of play by Jari Kurri. Again, notice the Flyers congregating around the point, leaving the passing lanes open. Ron Hextall is beaten by Jari Kurri as he cruised unmolested down the slot. Now let's take another look at that goal by number 17, Kurri, from a reverse angle super slow-mo. The puck comes to Kurri as he's just cruising down the face-off circle. And Ron Hextall is clearly beaten at 5:43 to make it 1-0 Edmonton. Now late in the first period of play, the Flyers were on their third power play of the night. But instead of them evening the game at 1, Edmonton got a very huge goal indeed from an unlikely source, defenseman Kevin Lowe. Let's take a look at how that goal came about at the Spectrum just inside or just outside the last minute of play in the first period. Again, Wayne Gretzky having his way into the Flyers zone unchecked, and Kevin Lowe down the slot also unchecked. And keep in mind, Edmonton was shorthanded. Two players, both Crossman and Propp, came to Gretzky. Keep in mind that Brian Propp, of course, is not a defenseman, may not be as familiar with how to play that situation as a normal defenseman would be. That's it for the Bud Light scoreboard after one period from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Edmonton Oilers 2, Philadelphia Flyers nothing. We'll rejoin Mike and Bill for the second period in a moment. ESPN is brought to you by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Volvo, a car you can believe in. And by the Norelco electronic Rototrack razor. Norelco, we put quality first. Well, the Philadelphia Flyers are in a very familiar hole. The Edmonton Oilers came out strong, got a lot of quality shots, and they have a big 2-0 lead after one period. What will unfold in the second period? Well, let's go upstairs now to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
Well, Tom, Edmonton had the same type of lead 2 nights ago, but it's a little different story tonight, Bill.
Yeah, in spite of the fact that the Flyers were trailing the other night, Mike, they weren't playing the way they're playing tonight. They were playing with far more determination. They out-hit the Oilers 32-12 in the first period the other night. Tonight, it's 22-20 in hits, but the Oilers are out-hitting the Flyers, so it will be a longer and tougher struggle for the Flyers tonight because they're really not on their game the way they were on Friday night, the way I'm seeing it.
And hard work and determination and sweat often can't produce a miracle. There has to be a little more involved, it seems. And the other night, maybe they had it.
The toughest thing about it, hard work and determination are great, but it's difficult to turn on the switch, that determination switch. You usually have to prepare the day of the game and come ready to do that. You just can't turn it on when you want to.
Gretzky has assisted on both. Kurri's at 5:53 and Lowe's shorthanded at 18:44. Shots even at 8. Penalty 6 called, 4 minors to the Oilers, 2 to Philadelphia. No power plays extending into this period. And it'll be Mark Messier's unit out for the Oilers. That means Nielsen on the right and Anderson on the left. Tocchet, the right winger, Zezel, the centerman, and Derek Smith, the left wing for Philadelphia.
Mike, Tom mentioned quality shots. That's another problem that the Flyers are having. The Oilers have had 7, and the Flyers have had 3. And we're going to try and track that because we've brought up the point a number of times in the series. The Oilers have better snipers in close. When they get quality chances, they're going to score more often than Philadelphia. So the Flyers can't give them more quality chances than they get.
Brad Marsh ran into Anderson. The puck along to Zezel. And it comes further to Tocchet. This one chipped loose by Nielsen. Nielsen feeds to Mark Messier. Messier drops it, but it's Tocchet there. Derek Smith ties up his man, so it is Nielsen who has to go back and further it to Lowe. Then along for Messier, and we get a stoppage of play on a 2-line pass, a little thumping after the whistle.
One of the other statistics that our people are taking care of up here, Vic Morin and John Glassy, who've been providing us with all of the quality numbers that we've been using, is face-offs. And, you know, the Flyers struggled while Glenn Sather's team dominated in the playoffs. The Oilers were the leading team statistically in face-offs coming into this series, and the Flyers were near the bottom. Well, the Flyers drew just about even. It was 50-50, give or take the odd face-off here and there between these two teams in the first 3 games. Well, in the first period tonight, the Oilers won 17, and the Flyers only won 8. So in those one-on-one confrontations that Mike Keenan's team prides themselves in, they're not doing that well in the face-off either, once again tonight.
Gretzky, Tikkanen, Curry, the line for Edmonton. And it is Brad McCrimmon for Philadelphia. Angles one to Carson, tapped back and followed up by Mellanby. Mellanby moves in. Tested there by Coffey, nearly stripped him of it, but Mellanby continues. Tries to kick it by Coffey again. And Suicide continue the battle behind Grant Fuhr. Sutter comes in for Mellanby, but Coffey interrupts. Chopped by Curry, but into Howe. Well, Charlie Huddy says, what about the other side? Maybe we can get it out that way, and it's along to Tikkanen. Tikkanen's pass is off the boards, but gathered in by Curry. McCrimmon will go back, but it is Hextall angling one around to Lindsey Carson. Off of Curry. Huddy tries, but Curry rolls it to McCrimmon. Then ahead on the wing for Mellanby, shot that's wide. A minute and a half gone here in the second period. Oilers ahead in the game by a count of 2-0 and having control in all phases. Curry starts in. Shunts it well wide, and it's Hextall behind. Flips it just by Gretzky, but Curry is there. Missed Gretzky. Daigneault couldn't reach. And the Oilers keep play moving with Pozar. Dropping to Gretzky and back for Pozar. But Ron Sutter controls for Philadelphia. Bear in mind, this is the same Philadelphia team that came from a 3-0 deficit to win Game 3. Thus far, however, they've not shown the type of indication that we were seeing in the second period the other night. But those things change sometimes by a hair trigger. And the other night, things seemed to turn when Edmonton got a too many men on the ice penalty, and the Flyers finally succeeded on their power play. Randy Gregg for the Oilers. Dishes it back off for the carry by ex-Ranger Reijo Ruotsalainen. Sized up by Daigneault. Ruotsalainen throws one in front that Hextall turns away. Then it is Krushelnyski wrapping for McSorley. Stood up by Daigneault's check. Still they test for it. Poulin and Pozar, and out in front for a stuff attempt was Krushelnyski, and it was flung away by Daigneault. Flyers come back, but it's a 3-on-3. In comes Brock to Poulin, and the shot was well wide. Marty McSorley with 17 minutes to play in this second period. Moves it back on Marsh and fires one off his stick. Lowe and Muni come out on the Edmonton defense, and it is Dave Hunter who checked Samuelson just now, working with McClellan and McTavish for the Oilers. Puck chipped along by Brad Marsh, goes barreling right in after it, but it's Muni turning it, though into Marsh and off Brown. Lowe for the Oilers. We've seen just one shot in the first 3 minutes and 20 seconds of this period, and that off an Oilers stick. Curry and Lowe had the goals in the game, both of them in the first period. And Lowe took Dave Brown down. Meanwhile, 140 feet away, it is Muni playing it back along, hoping for some help. They'll try the near side now with Dave Hunter. Hunter hooked at by Darryl Stanley. As the play comes now to Marsh. Connects with Stanley, but he has trouble controlling. Then it bounced off Brown and punched further by Hunter. Here's McClellan. Gets by Samuelson. McClellan tries again, and Hextall crushed it off Brown. Backhander McTavish made another shot by McClellan is wide. Oh, and the Flyers nearly caught with a giveaway goal. It is McTavish behind. Out in front comes Hunter, and that one sent wide. Darryl Stanley, as the Flyers fans just express concern, you can sense it throughout this arena. On now McTavish, stood up by Samuelson. Ahead comes Darryl Stanley. Stanley moving on Charlie Huddy, drops it there, goes after it, but Fuhr swings it away. Nielsen in stride, and it is Howe going back. Hextall holds for Philadelphia, puts it on the turning stick of Eklund, has pocket ahead, plays it on though to Darryl Stanley. Stanley hits, but gets it released to McCrimmon. Pulls up, wants to pass, but can't. Throws it behind, and Stanley there. Bumps with Huddy and goes down. And the Oilers advance it in the person of Paul Coffey. Quickly ahead to Anderson. Then to Coffey. Fresh from the bench is Derek Smith, but he couldn't take it from Coffey. And Philadelphia must go deep with 15 minutes to go in the second period. Non-stop action here from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Seeing some of the power of the Oilers here as pocket drops for Zezel. Brushed one back to Howe. Howe with a shot. Save. Loose puck in front. Oh, and shut down on the play, Derek Smith. Puck handled along by Zezel. Zezel spins one for Tocchet, but it bounces for Nielsen. We get a halt to play, as it is a hand pass, stopping the clock with 14:36 to go in the second. Oilers 2, Flyers nothing.
We had talked before the period started about how the Flyers are not the Flyers that we saw here Friday night. They were dominant in one-on-one situations and in the trenches, meaning the corners, behind the net, and in front of the net. And tonight it's been the Oilers' turn to dominate most of those situations. When the Flyers find themselves being dominated in those situations, I don't know what they can do. I mean, all Mike Keenan can do between periods is try and shake them up, and the leaders, and Mike Keenan always mentions the man on the right, Dave Poulin. He always mentions Mark Howe and Brad Marsh. I think he really believes strongly in those three men as his leaders. Not much they can do, except you'll see Poulin looking back and forth on the bench, trying to charge everybody up and trying to make it a contagious thing. But when the Flyers start being outdone in the trenches, you know that it's going to be a long night.
Mr. Gretzky has 2 assists tonight. He's playing in his 98th playoff game. Those are career points 204 and 205. McCrimmon has shot wide. Moving for this is Ron Sutter. Sutter drops it back, but Gretzky follows up. Moves out with Curry on his right. Gretzky feeds on the wing to Tikkanen, but he couldn't control. Tikkanen centers, and it goes all the way over for Ruotsalainen, who plays the angle, hoping for Gretzky, and he's got him. In front for Tikkanen, backhander save. Rebound just punched away by McCrimmon. Second effort by McCrimmon denies Gretzky on the second occasion. And it is Curry turning for the Oilers. Flips one that bounced off of Tikkanen. Tikkanen gloves it back in. Gretzky must let it go, and Tikkanen takes, so there's no hand pass. It is Curry spinning one into Mellanby. Philadelphia with only one shot in the first 7.5 minutes of this period. Play tap back along, and it is Gretzky there. Gretzky pivots, but then hooks down Mark Howe, and Gretzky will pay the price of 2 minutes. Philadelphia will get a man advantage, trailing in the game 2-0.
Wayne Gretzky is shaking his head because of that penalty. He was called out for hooking down Mark Howe.
For Philadelphia, this will be power play number 4. Their 3rd power play in succession. They trail in the game 2-0.
See if they can generate some quality opportunities. They've had 3 power plays all in the first period. They really haven't had a quality shot on Grant Fuhr yet.
Kent Nielsen turning, throws it over to Messier. It is Lowe working in back with Muni. Those are the 4 Oilers. Hextall, who nearly put it right into the pile, but got it through to Crossman. Crossman along and following up is Tocchet. Watched by Lowe. Tocchet able to squirrel behind. Dishes off to Zezel and goes to the front. Zezel a shot kicked right back out by Fuhr. Messier tries to clear. Zezel able to keep it in. Good pass over to Crossman for a shot. Tipped in front by Prop. And it is Zezel feeding and right there to cut it off and clear for the Oilers. And now come to the bench on the shift change is Kent Nielsen. Hunter out. Messier remains. As Brian Prop has a man up the wing at Daigneault. Daigneault watched stride for stride by Lowe. Takes a little lumber. Able to get away from Muni and then is shouldered. Tocchet tries to get to the front, and the puck swept away by Messier, and now he'll come for a shift change to be replaced by McTavish. Hextall flips it back ahead with 55 seconds to go on Philadelphia's power play. On now it is Eklund. Spinning one around for Brian Prop. Allows it to go to Crossman. Dumps it off Lowe's stick. Lowe turns, tries to control, then goes down. It is Prop. Back to Eklund. Eklund hands to Crossman. Then to Eklund again. Prop was loose. It comes back to McCrimmon. McCrimmon dumps it back off for Craven. Allows it to roll behind where Prop shields for Eklund. Then to McCrimmon. Drive. Hit someone in front. Loose puck is Prop. Back now it comes to Eklund and McCrimmon again. Score!
Brad McCrimmon got robbed on the first blast from the point. It seemed to come out of a bit of a screen. There's the one. Grantfuhr got a piece of that with his arm. What a blast by McCrimmon. Well, he didn't miss the second one, and he takes this one on the fly, too. He does not stop it, and one times it. What a blast. See if Grantfuhr even has time to move. Oh, that's a great shot. Everybody holding in front. Crossman has his stick being held at the far side. You can see number 32, Murray Craven. He's being held by Kevin Lowe. And they break loose. Trying to figure out if Grantfuhr perhaps was screened when McCrimmon let it go, because you could see Kevin Lowe move in front of him. But one way or the other, what a blast by Brad McCrimmon. They might have to do it the hard way. We knew they were going to. Here they go again. Now 2-1.
Eklund and Propp getting the assist. Fans wanted a penalty as Craven was impeded from going after that by Coffey. And here's McCrimmon in deep for Propp. McCrimmon hustling right after it, and Coffey on his tail presses him. McCrimmon kicks. Craven has it go through to Propp. Propp has a man breaking in front, Howe, but just couldn't get it through to him, and the Oilers able to clear. This one will angle right in on Hextall, so there'll be no icing. Hextall flips it back along. It wound up going off Muni's stick, punched back to Muni by Hozar, and then further to Charlie Huddy. Flyers starting to buzz to it now, seeming to warm to the task, and on the minds of 17,222, can this be happening again? Howe hit hard and just thrown away by McSorley. 10:50 to go in this second period. Play made across, and Derek Smith just not there. Right back through now comes Hozar. Can't get through Samuelson. Pokes it through, and it's Brad Marsh. Shift change on. Gretzky's line is out for Edmonton. Marsh's pass goes all the way down. And this will be an icing touch-up as leisurely Charlie Huddy back for the tap. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the second period. The Oilers 2, the Flyers on this celebration have won.
In the race for a better shave, one remarkable razor is in a class by itself. The Rotatract from Norelco. Inside free-floating heads, 45 lifters and cutters grip and raise for an incredibly close, incredibly comfortable shave, with the blade never touching the skin. The close, comfortable Rotatract shave from Norelco.
Fans here from all over, including Orlando, Florida. Saw momentarily Paul Holmgren, Mike Keenan at the Philadelphia bench. Now our focus shifts with the score 2-1 Edmonton to the face-off near Hextall. And it is back for the flip along. They tried for Tikkanen, but that is gathered in by Mellanby. Pass ahead, went through Ron Sutter, and it would have been an onside play. Pure flips it. Mellanby pinches to play. Mellanby to Derek Smith. Good check by Tikkanen, and so Smith couldn't get a shot away. Turning with it is Derek Smith, rolls it up to Ron Sutter. In the sights of Gregg, he takes the hit after he'd rolled it along. Mellanby to Derek Smith. Flood, Howe, shot wide! And the net is off the magnet.
What a defensive play by Tikkanen coming back and taking Derek Smith. You know, Tikkanen was guilty of a number of defensive lapses on Friday night, at least one of which resulted in a Flyers goal. But he was Johnny on the spot to check Derek Smith. That was Smith that centered it out to Mark Howe. You could see the kind of trouble Grantfuhr was in. He had traffic all around him. And I still couldn't tell on that one if Fuhr got a piece of it or if it hit somebody in front. To me, it looked as if Mark Howe might have just rifled it wide, trying to cut it pretty fine. Here's another look at the goal. That was the original shot by McCrimmon that hit and went wide, but it's coming back to him, left to right, and here he goes. Boom. Yeah, hit someone?
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Sure did. It almost looked as if it hit the Flyers stick in front. I guess I'll have to take it back. He doesn't shoot the puck that hard after all. No, it was a tough shot, but it did look on that shot as if it changed directions right in front of the net.
That's why we have so many cameras and tape machines, and sometimes we pick up something else from a third or a fourth look. Here is Muni, followed by Derek Smith, and Smith has the body on him, and out in front. The puck kicked, and here come the Oilers. If they hurry, they've got a 2-on-1. Anderson up the wing. It's Messier with the puck. Messier feeds back. Shot blocked by Hextall. Centered, and that out the back of the goal, and there'll be a penalty coming up to Philadelphia. It's the Oilers 2, the Flyers 1.
Feeds to Messier, I think it is, after faking the shot, and watch Nielsen will get it right back. To me, this is the save of the game so far that Ron Hextall makes. Yeah, Messier right back. And that looked a lot slower. A reverse angle, super slow-mo, gives you a great look at it. But when it was really happening, Ken Nielsen didn't stop it. He flicked it right at Ron Hextall. Hextall somehow read it and got his toe on it. That's the save of the game so far.
For Edmonton, this is power play number 2. Came up empty on the first. They lead in the game 2-1. And the puck is drilled by McCrimmon. Charlie Huddy can't keep. It is Huddy with Coffey in back. And for the Oilers, Nielsen, Messier, and Anderson up front. Propp and Poulin, Howe and McCrimmon. You've got some of the best players in the entire league out there right now. Charlie Huddy keeps. Dishes off for the pass. That is Nielsen's, then back to Huddy and hurriedly to Coffey. Slow one was a problem. He swung it into McCrimmon. And then Coffey brushed it, and anticipating with Poulin, had he been able to step ahead, the Flyers crowd would have peaked. Messier swings it back along, and Hextall punches the boards to play it, then flips it.
What a great play by Hextall. The shot wasn't the great play. It was getting around behind the net to stop that rifle that Messier shot behind.
Bud keeps the action going so you can enjoy Game 4. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Coffey works it over to Curry. Then up the wing to Tikkanen. Falls, flips. It's sent high by Marsh, but not out. Marsh brings it ahead. It's a 2-on-2. The play is to Craven. And Craven's shot is deflected out of play by Paul Coffey. 8:04 left in the second. 42 seconds remaining on the power play. It is the Oilers 2 and Philadelphia 1, as you see, Grant Fuhr. Very calm gentleman sitting outside. You know, I noticed this afternoon, Kevin Lowe, 4:45 in the afternoon in an empty Spectrum, sitting in his sweat at the empty Oilers players bench, just looking at all those empty seats and really internalizing.
And, you know, I think part of it is relaxing. I was never really one to go into the arena and sit, but a lot of players did, and I think there's more to it than that. Here's Kevin Lowe. You know, you're so close to this situation. I remember in 1975 when I played for a Flyers team that won a cup. We beat the Buffalo Sabres, and after it was over, Jim Schoenfeld of the Sabres made some comments that I found so appropriate. He said, you know, it was so great to play in the Stanley Cup Finals, but in a sense, I wish I'd been able to take part of my body and set it up in the stands and look at it the way I looked at it when I was a 12-year-old kid. Yeah. I was too close to the situation, and I couldn't appreciate it all. And I think maybe Kevin Lowe was getting a little appreciation of what was actually happening here, because once the game starts, you can.
The voice of two-time Stanley Cup winner Bill Clement, a member of Philadelphia teams here that won, along with Tom Meese and Bill Clement. Mike Emmerich in the Spectrum in Philadelphia, 2-1. The Oilers ahead, 10 seconds on the power play. Gregg feeds off to Gretzky. To Gregg, he scores! Randy Gregg on a feed from Wayne Gretzky, who has his third assist. The Oilers have their third goal and are up by 2.
Just another routine give and go to Wayne Gretzky. And Randy Gregg made the good play by continuing to the net. No one picked him up. The Flyers had a chance to get it out there. That was actually an errant pass by Jari Kurri. Here's Wayne Gretzky, who's just received from Randy Gregg. Someone turned around and let Gregg move by him. See Brian Propp, number 26? He turned as soon as Gregg made the pass. Gregg went by him. Hextall really didn't have much of a chance on it. Concentrating, doing his best. He's facing Gretzky now. Right about now, Gretzky's passing back to Gregg. There's the shot between his legs. No chance at all.
Flyers again behind by 2. Third of the playoffs for Gregg. It came at 12:31, and it was a power play goal just by 7 seconds. Hunter spirits it through to McTavish. Tries to shake loose of Howe, but Brian Propp came across to help. Howe turns it back along. Low hit by Tocchet, but taking the puck is Hunter. Hunter back through. Wedged off by Brad McCrimmon. Hextall takes a look, then shanks one along for Propp. Propp able to turn and then was run off by McClellan. Back in it drops. Hextall once more spins it around. McClellan can't keep, but Huddy can. No loses, and here's a 2-on-1. Eklund and Tocchet. Defending is Coffey. It's Tocchet. Save! Pure! Another save to Grant Pure! If this score remains this way, mark down 6:33 to go in the second. And thanks to Pure, it's still the Oilers 3 and the Flyers 1.
Not just one game-saving save, but two by Grant Pure. Eklund to Tocchet. Here's one. Tocchet gets the rebound. That's going in, gang. Yeah. That one's going in. Grant Pure got a piece of it flat on his face.
It is Messier tapping. And Krushelnyski carrying. On to Messier, 2-on-1 Edmonton. Messier, and a diving play by Brad Marsh forced it off his stick. Messier tries to play once more. Tied up by Peter Zezel. Marsh comes in, and the puck flips along. Ruotsalainen to get it. Sends one to Krushelnyski. Then to McSorley. Stiff pass, and this from the bench is taken by Pozar. Wraps it along, and Zezel takes the legs out from under an Oiler, and that'll cost. Krushelnyski is the man down. Zezel will be the man going off. And the Oilers will have a power play. 6 minutes and a second to go at the time of this penalty.
You know, I think if there's an unsung hero for the Flyers in the entire playoffs, it's Brad Marsh. And here he is defending on Mark Messier. Messier has a man open, but he also has big number 8 who times it perfectly, and that is the one word that describes the key to that play, timing. And Brad Marsh's timing has been excellent the entire playoffs. Here's the penalty, battle in the corner. Peter Zezel, oh boy, that's a dangerous trick too. It works sometimes. You saw Zezel poke Krushelnyski right in the back of the legs, throws you off balance. You go into the boards with absolutely no control. It's like running down the street in darkness and banging into a street sign that you didn't know was there. Here's Krushelnyski. Watch the back of his left leg. I got to tell you, there have been many players injured seriously with that play.
Similarly, Joe Watson of Philadelphia, Bob Daly of Philadelphia played their last game on plays like that.
I mean, if it's not the knee, it's the ankle. It's just about anything going in that way.
All right, power play on now for Edmonton. Puck wrapped along by McCrimmon, kept by Ruotsalainen, and then lost and cleared back down by Dave Poulin. 5:50 to go in the second period. Greg, Lowe, and Jari Kurri. 3 of the hot goal scorers for the Edmonton Oilers. Lowe with his first of the playoff and Greg with his third, but beautifully set up and beautifully converted. As Gretzky was the one who made the pass on all 3 goals. Here is Greg with a shot blocked off by Hextall. Gretzky tries to chop, but McCrimmon says no. Prop clears. It's shunted along by Greg, and play is onside. Here is Kurri. Gives to Gretzky. In front and being bothered by Hextall is Krushelnyski. Drive by Greg, and that trapped by Hextall.
1 minute and 14 to go on the penalty before Peter Zezel can either breathe a sigh of relief or end up coming out of the penalty box depressed before that minute and 14 seconds is up. What a battle in front between, not much of a battle actually, we'll call it an attack. Hextall on the back of Krushelnyski's legs. Ron Hextall just trying to buy himself a little room in there. This will give us a good look at it. Our exclusive super slow-mo shows Ron Hextall. Sorry, Ron, we put that camera over there and didn't really mean it, didn't really intend it to pick up on some of your slashes, but that's what this game is all about this time of year. And he ends up making a dandy save, and perhaps if he doesn't splash Krushelnyski, Krushelnyski's able to jockey for position and get over in front of him. But it's Peter Zezel who sits. You got to consider it an ill-timed penalty. His team is down 3-1. He pokes Krushelnyski's legs out from under him, going into the boards. And you know, if the Flyers are not able to withstand the Edmonton power play, that Peter Zezel will be looking for a rock to hide a 5'9", 200-pound hockey player that he can climb under.
Be quite a boulder. Sutter and Gretzky for the face-off. 1:12 left power play. And the Flyers force the Oilers to chase once more. Randy Gregg has Ruotsalainen flying up the left side. That's his defense partner if they set it up that way, but free-flowing ad-lib motion of the Oilers, you never can be too sure what they have planned. Craven tries to work it further but can't. Puck squirts along in Gretzky. Little pass to Krushelnyski taken right out by the defensive work of Brad Marsh. And the play breaks down, but Krushelnyski right aggressively back at him. Ron Sutter has to come in. Gives up to Krushelnyski. Centers one, but Sutter was checking, and it's helped back for the play still to continue to Wayne Gretzky. Then to Ruotsalainen. Has the gun loaded. Shovels one. And where is it? It pops loose for Sutter to take. Sutter, and down goes Krushelnyski. Along comes Marsh, defended by Curry. Sutter tries to poke it ahead, but it is sent further in. The Oilers try to bring it back. 15 seconds left on their man advantage. Jari Curry, backhander high. And it's Ron Sutter starting back for Philadelphia. Gretzky catching up to him. Sutter drops it to Samuelson, then to Brad Marsh. Marsh couldn't get by Messier's checking. Penalty time is up to Zezel. 4 minutes left in the second. Oilers 3 and Philadelphia 1. Gretzky with a pass. Couldn't handle it. That was Anderson, but taking it now is Coffey. Now over to Charlie Huddy. Spins one back along, and the Oilers start another 3-on-3. That is a 4-on-3. Shovel shot by Anderson is blocked by Hextall and quickly hurried out. Directed ahead, they hoped for Zezel, but instead were disappointed to get Paul Coffey. Shot 17-14, Edmonton in the game. On comes Gretzky, feeds to Coffey, blocked in front. Loose puck, Gretzky centers, but Dave Poulin was there for Philadelphia. Has Tocchet with him, but this is a 2-on-3. Wants the angle, but it's off Huddy. Poulin again, and Charlie Huddy had his stick in the way of that one. And back up with it comes McTavish.
No, the Flyers they're going to have to try and do something about Gretzky. Who knows what they can do, but he's taken them apart single-handedly. He already has 3 assists, could have 7 or 8.
McTavish turning, feeds it back to Lowe. Well, that's one of those mysteries. Some teams are able to do it. They usually do it in the mark of one night, but not consistently. Anderson tries to get through Howe. Brian Propp back to Eklund. Has Poulin on the other wing as they go wide. The play made to Poulin. In is Muni, and the centering pass just by Propp. McCrimmon forehands one. That's locked down. Another try. And Fuhr held the door tightly shut. Scampering after it is Eklund. Turns it back to Dave Poulin. Takes some lumber from McTavish. Poulin still trying to work it loose. Shovels over to Eklund. In front, and that's tipped away by Kevin Lowe. Turnarounder, and that's snared by Fuhr. Oh.
Did he really catch that?
Like a viper's tongue with 2:16 to go in the second. Oilers 3, Flyers 1.
All kinds of excellent saves in the last little while by Ron Hextall on the left. He challenged Jari Kurri on one that comes to mind immediately and made just a great decision. At the other end, we're still wondering how Grant Fuhr from a prone position through a screen calmly reached up and snagged about an 80-mile-an-hour one out of the air.
Here's Ron Sutter trying to center, but Randy Gregg is there to just block it away. Then waltzes his man off and gets the stoppage of play. So Gregg, who has contributed with the 3rd goal in this game for his team, has been customarily strong from a defensive standpoint as well.
Check this. 2 seasons with the Kakuto Bunnies in Japan. How would you like to have that on your resume? And you know the reason he was there was that the Canadian national team didn't have an Olympic program. They kind of disbanded it, and his first game over there was against the Bennett brothers, Harvey and Kurt, of Providence, Rhode Island fame and of NHL fame. Harvey Bennett ended up in a fight in the penalty box with one of the Japanese players, and before they could resume the game, Harvey had to come to center ice. They cleared the dressing room, cleared the teams to their dressing room. Harvey had to come to center ice and bow to the entire public in the arena and continue from there and apologize to the player that he fought with. Randy Gregg said, I didn't know what was going on. It was all strange to me.
A new world. And it has been a popular sport there. As a matter of fact, Kurt and Harvey wound up producing some features that were carried in intermissions about how hockey was played in Japan, although they left that part of it out. Here is Marsh going after it, but the puck handled by Pozar, who sits down because of the lean of Sutter. 1:35 left in the second period. The Oilers are ahead in this game by a score of 3-1. Flyers knocked on the door on the goal by McCrimmon on the power play, but the Oilers took it right back again just over 4 minutes later. Back with this is Dave Brown. Shoots one into the glove of Fuhr, who will wait for the stoppage of play. Dave Brown, who was one time, as Bill mentioned in an earlier telecast, quite a baseball pitcher. And he has a sort of a secret ambition. He said, I'd want him to take a look at me, but I have pretty good control, and I think I could batting practice pitch for the Phillies. But he doesn't want to think about that right now.
No, not right now. And when the season's over, if they don't want to let him, he'll just demand that they let him. And they'll say, okay, I'm still trying to get him to show me how to throw the ball. We got to bring a ball in. I pitched, and I'm a right-hander, and I always thought left-handers could curve the ball better. I think everybody thinks, and it's, a lot of people will give you the optical illusion stuff. I know one thing. I had a straight ball. I couldn't curve it if my life depended on it. So Brownie was showing me how to make it move.
How's this for a battery? 6 feet 5 inch Dave Brown on the mound, and the little tiger Michel Bergeron behind the plate. I mean, one could stare at you and intimidate, and you'd have Bergeron in your ear all the time when you were standing up there.
Walk up and say, all right, I'll take the out.
Zezel on the tie-up with Messier, and Messier able to roll it behind, but Brian Propp goes after it. Then on to Tocchet. Coffey leaning on him, and the puck coughed right up for Huddy. Then across to Curry, and then out to Wayne Gretzky. Paul Coffey in the final 65 seconds of this second period. And though the Oilers may have blanched for just a moment, and the crowd picked up when McCrimmon scored, once Gretzky set up Randy Gregg, it was business back as usual again. On now comes McCrimmon. Hands over to Tocchet. Feeds it in front, and Coffey there. Then Tocchet hurried one wide. Around it comes for Howe. Spinning as Zezel shuffles it to Howe. That one is off the stick of Tikkanen and gathered in by Charlie Huddy. Missing on the grab was Curry, and so back to play is Mark Howe. Half a minute to go. Howe pestered by Curry. Sets up Gretzky, who tried the top right and missed. It is Howe ahead now to Brian Propp. 20 seconds left in the period. Propp gets to the slot. Backhander deflected. Loose puck in front. They poke away at it. Stoppage of play as Zezel is tied up with Tikkanen back at center ice. And now Paul Coffey trying to get in a swing on Tocchet behind the goal.
Tocchet had him with his head bent down and was holding him there. And the only thing that let Paul Coffey get up was that Tocchet ended up popping his helmet right off. That set Coffey free. And there were 2 men short. You can't see it here, but way back up ice, Peter Zezel. Well, there's a crunch. That's Curry and McCrimmon in front. There's Tocchet and Coffey. Here's a reverse angle look at Gretzky's big chance. You know, if Jari Curry doesn't chop that to him, you notice how he chopped it? So Gretzky comes in and he's hitting a rolling puck. Still didn't miss by much. The backup ice during the altercation at the other end, it was Tikkanen and Peter Zezel locked in bat line.
Shift change is on now, and the Gretzky unit comes off for a rest. After that altercation, there are no penalties, and there will be no bows. Paul Coffey has gone off, and they have assessed penalties. They did not flash any on the board, nor send anyone to the penalty box, but that's because we only have 15 seconds to go in the period. Neither man bowed to the crowd leaving, so there still is some sophistication needed here in this North American sport. It's been aggressive hockey tonight, but it has been the Oilers who've been showing a lot of muster really in every department. Strength on faceoffs and hits.
You know what they've impressed me with too, Mike, is their offensive play in a forechecking capacity. They've really forced well. 2 of their goals were as a result of turnovers that were forced in the defensive zone. And they've really played a very determined, balanced game. We go back to those terms that we used to describe them in the playoffs that are new terms to describe them. They're patient, and they're determined.
Well, McSorley and Propp having some words, and a crowd gathers here as the second period comes to a close. Things will be parted calmly, it appears, as some of the black and white stripes have gotten between blue and between white. 40 minutes up, 40 minutes down. Oilers lead in the series 2 games to 1. They lead in the game 3 to 1. Some shoes have just been tossed on the ice.
The Great American